Hey guys, we're getting started in just a couple minutes here. I don't see you guys. Let me see if I get a different view here. There we go. Andrew, how you doing, Andrew? Can you hear me? You're on mute. Here comes Ellie. Oh, let me unmute. Let me unmute. You should be able to unmute yourself, Ellie. Are you able to unmute?
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, hey.
Hey, just waiting here a couple minutes. We got a couple people on. Welcome everybody. It's a wonderful morning. How's the weather down in Southern California, Ellie?
Gorgeous as always.
That's good. All right, we got a few people coming in. Good morning, Larry. How you doing? Let's see. You guys feel free to unmute right now and say hello if you'd like. We'll get started in a couple minutes and then we can I'm excited to introduce you guys to my friend here, Ellie. She's amazing. Hey Larry, how you doing? Let's see. We're just giving. Let's see. We're exactly at 9. Thanks you guys for showing up right here. Perfect time. We've got a few people on. Let's just give it another minute or so, and we'll go from there. I'd love to. You guys are muted right now. If you want to unmute, I'd love to hear where you guys are coming in from. Hey, Larry, how you doing?
Doing good. I'm from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Arkansas, right on. Where did you see this? Did you get an email? Did you see something online? Where'd you find where'd you find
Yeah, it
this?
was online because I think I signed up yesterday.
Oh, super cool. All right, welcome.
Yeah.
Arkansas. Well, it's a little bit further east, but my daughter's husband, my son-in-law, he just got a job offer in Tennessee. So they're looking at going that way. It's exciting, but at the same time, I'm not my grandkids, they're gonna go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I actually was born and raised in Memphis.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah. And then I've been back and forth between Memphis and Nashville.
Okay.
But yeah, we've pretty much been here for most of our lives. Met my wife here and had a couple kids here, and then
Okay.
had 3 kids and 4 grandkids, and the 4 grandkids and 2 of the kids are here.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice to be around your grandkids, huh? It's fun. When you have them, it's like, okay, it'll be sad to see them go, but they're young, they're a young couple and they're growing their lives. And that's where some of my son-in-law's family is. So they're looking to go out that way. They're actually, I think they're going to the Knoxville area.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if we get a couple people more jumping on. We'll get started at 9:05. How's that? We'll do a little introductions. It's gonna be some great information. Ellie, I'll let her introduce herself, but she's an award-winning, best-selling author. She's done some great stuff, and I'm really happy to be able to introduce her to a few of our folks here. Anybody else want to chat? I know. Let's see. We've got Larry, Andrew, Carlos. Hey, Melanie, how you doing? You guys have got your cameras off, so we can't see you, but that's okay. Who else have we got coming in here? I know, Ellie, you just came back from
Australia.
right?
Yes. So my body thinks it's tomorrow.
What time is it right now in Australia?
It is. I have my handy world clock because my body has no idea where I am. It is 12:03. It is midnight.
Oh, it's midnight. Okay.
Midnight tomorrow for me right now.
So 2 days ago, you were asleep at this time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big acclamation.
Yep. Just got back 24 hours ago. Excited to be here. Larry, I spent 20 years in Nashville, so I know the area quite well. In fact, I still have a house in East Nashville. Love it.
Oh, super cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Learning things by each other. Okay.
Yeah.
We're 3 minutes, 9:03 right now. Why don't we just get started? I'll start introducing a little bit, and then if other people jump on, I'll let them in and we can go from there. So let me do this. All right. All right, so guys, welcome to everybody that's here. Andrew, Carlos, Larry, Melanie. I know Melanie. My name is Raul Lopez Jr. I'm an author, speaker, a life and a business coach. I founded this forum, speaking forum, Tag Talks Live. And what TAG stands for is transparency, acceptance, and growth. And then the books I've written are Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. And then I have a Tag Talks book where I put people's personal stories in it. A little bit about what TAG and where all of that comes from is teaching and talking about people sharing their personal stories. That's what my passion comes from. That's why I've created the companies that I have. I believe that we all have been through some challenges, and that when we share those challenges, we can help people change their lives. And that really is what my passion is about. And it turned into a business. So I'm always on stages, in groups, in meetings, inspiring people to share their story on stage and in books. A little bit about myself. The reason that my book is called Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear is not necessarily for men, but it's my story. And my story, in very short, is childhood trauma that just led me into a very wild life, getting in trouble quite a bit, just being lost, living in a fog. And then at some point realizing that there had to be more to life than what I was living. And I went on a journey, and I started to seek and started to learn, study psychology, neuroscience, did some spiritual work, meditation, just a whole lot of internal work that helped me transform my life. And that's where my passion came, to help other people transform their lives. During that time, I was sharing my story often, in juvenile halls and in prisons, at churches, things like that. And I noticed how much it was an impact to people, and people would come to me and they'd say, man, I share your story. It's like you were talking about my life, and I felt the same pain, and I lived in that same fog, and just thank you for sharing. And then it made me feel so good, and it was helping me transform at the same time. So it was like, when we share our stories, it's just what it says. We're being transparent. We've accepted the life that we lived, but we're not, letting it hold us back. And then we grow. I grow, you grow, while we're sharing our stories. So it's really important for me to help people and inspire people to get out there and share their messages, like I said, whether it be on stage and in books. And it can be a career. It can be an income maker. You can make some money doing it, helping people share their stories, learning to help them, coach them into writing books, being on stage, or whatever services you provide. Ellie will get into this a little bit more in a minute, but when we're in books, when we're on stages, it comes with talking about the business side of things. It really does create an instant credibility and authority in who we are from stage and in these books. So when we do that, we're able to impact people, right? We're able to share our story. People see it and they go, wow, this is really great. And a lot of people will look at that and learn from it and grow from it, which is really where this comes from for me, my passion. And then other people will go and see the importance of sharing their message and sharing their story in books and on stages. And then they'll go and help people, right? So if you're interested in sharing your story and helping people change their lives, and then being an expert in the industry that you're in, then writing books and being on stage is exactly the way to do it. Because I mean, it's been my path, it's been Ellie's path, it's been a few of our clients' paths, and they're doing really well with it. So I'm going to introduce Ellie now, and we'll kind of go back and forth. But Ellie is amazing. I love introducing her to my crew, my teams, my connections, because she's very inspiring, and we're doing some work together, some JVs together in different areas. But she is an award, and I'm going to let her tell you in depth, but she's an award-winning author. She's a best-selling author many times over, and she's an expert in getting people published and helping them write their books. So Ellie, take it away.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I, like you, I'm super passionate about helping people to tell their story, to get their message out into the world. Like you, I firmly believe that you have a message to share with the world, and someone in the world is waiting for the message that only you can share. And it's something that only you can share because only you have experienced it. Each and every one of us, as Raul said, has walked through some fire or another. We have some life experience that is uniquely ours. So a little bit about me. I am an abuse survivor, a rape survivor, and a domestic violence survivor who actually lived in hiding under a ghost file and a fake name. I've been homeless. I've lived in my car. I've eaten the food restaurants we're throwing away at the end of the night. I am a cancer survivor and a medical miracle who's been defying the doctor's death deadlines for over 20 years. So the first time they told me you'll be dead by, they said I would be dead by Christmas of 2000. And I've continued to hear that all the way through my cancer journey, 19. So that's the backstory. Then you compare that with the accolades, right? That the external facing, the things that the world sees. And I am the dean of a law school, the former dean of a school of criminology and criminal justice. I am the staff attorney to a federal judge for 20 years. I have 6 best-selling books. I have been featured in over 50 magazines. I'm regularly interviewed on ABC, NBC, CBS. I'm in the New York Times. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. So I am so passionate about helping people tell their stories, because your title, your accolades, all those things, notice, don't reflect my story. None of those accolades, none of the positions, none of the kudos. I'm a member of the National Academy of Best-Selling Authors. I've received a Quilly Award, which is the writer's version of an Emmy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on of all the things that outside world sees. And none of that is reflective of my story of abuse, rape, domestic violence, homelessness, cancer, 20 years, in hospitals. None of that. But it's my story that makes me impactful. And it's your story that makes you impactful. So while you may not have had abuse or rape or domestic violence or homelessness, you have unique things that you have walked through. And that is the fuel for your business. That is the fuel for your purpose. And that is the thing that makes you uniquely you and makes you an expert and makes you so effective. And so I believe that every one of you needs to share your message. Needs to share your message on stage, needs to share your message in a book. If writing a whole book feels overwhelming, that's okay. There are ways to share it in a book compilation where you're sharing your story in a chapter. There's lots of options, but I believe that you need to share your story. So usually I am speaking to groups in person or where everyone has their camera on, because I'm super interactive. So if you are somewhere where you can't have your camera on, I totally get it. It's a work day. But I am interactive, so I will ask questions. If you can, use your reactions button to raise your hand or answer things put things in the chat, so that I can monitor it, because I want to make sure that so I'm going to pull up the chat. Make sure that I'm actively serving you, Melanie, actively serving you, Carlos and Andrew and Larry. So, if you have questions, feel free to ask. But I'm going to assume that all of you, Melanie, I totally get it. Thanks for interacting in the chat. It's super helpful for me. So I'm going to assume that you guys are speakers or entrepreneurs or coaches. Welcome, Anita. That you have some platform where you want to be seen as the go-to expert in your field. We are in a situation now with COVID and the pivoting to the online space, where there is a huge online education revolution, where self-education is now a hundreds of billions with a B dollar industry, where everybody and their mother's, brother's, uncle's, cousin's dog wants to say they're a coach or a this or a that. And so now it is a really crowded marketplace. How do you stand out in a crowded marketplace? How do you become a go-to expert in your field? How do you become a beacon and a magnet for your perfect clients, for the people that you want to serve, for the people you feel called to serve? Well, you do that by speaking on stage. You do that by becoming a best-selling author. You do that by getting media appearances. It's super important for your credibility and authority to have that trifecta. That is the secret sauce that immediately launches you to the forefront of your industry. That's what gives you the credibility. That's what makes you different from everyone else in your space. That trifecta: speaking on stage, becoming a best-selling author, and getting media. So being a guest on podcasts, being interviewed on television, getting published in magazines, credible magazines, that kind of thing. So are we all good with that? Welcome, Anita. Welcome, Michael. Any questions so far on how to get your credibility and authority? So Raul has shared a little bit about getting on stages, about crafting your story. I'm going to dive in more to becoming a best-selling author. Like I said, I've got 6 best-selling books, all written during COVID, so all written over the last 2 years. And I have helped countless, I think we're up to over 60 different authors become best-selling authors, again, all during COVID. So it doesn't take a long time to write your book or to contribute a chapter to a book compilation. The most common question I get, people say, yeah, I want to write a book. I totally know that I need to write a book to become a best-selling author, to go to the top of my field, but I don't know what to say, or I don't have time to write a book, or I don't know where to start. Is that resonating? That's yep, Larry, that's Anita, I see the smile. Everyone else, I'm assuming that those are your thoughts as well. If yep, I see the thumbs up. Feel free to put things in the chat if you have other roadblocks. So what if I could teach you right now on this call how to outline your book in 10 minutes or less? Anybody? Larry's like, yeah, you can't do that. Oh, really? I do it every day. Yes, I can. Thanks, Melanie. I love that face. Yes. So if you are somewhere where you can't have your camera on because you're at work or whatever, I totally get it. If you are somewhere where you can pull out a piece of paper, I would highly suggest you do that, because we are going to build the framework for your book in 10 minutes or less. So the first place I always start when I'm working with entrepreneurs in particular is we have a conversation about your business so that I can understand what it is that you want to offer, or the things that you are offering. Who are you serving? What problems are you solving? In this context, we don't have time to really dive into that, but you know who you serve. You know what you like to offer. You know what problem you solve. So go ahead and jot that down on your at the top of your paper, because that's going to be what we're going to laser focus on. We're going to build your book as a vehicle for your business. Yes, build your book as a vehicle for your business. That is super important. So make sure you write that down. So many people think, oh, I'm going to just tell my story in my book, like from beginning to end. I'm just gonna vomit my life story. Yeah, don't do that. That's not helpful. So you want to build your book from the end back. Where do you want the reader to be at the end of the book? What message do you want them to leave with? Where are you taking them in your business? So at the end of the book, what's the next step you want them to take? Do you want them to buy your online course? Do you want them to sign up for one-on-one coaching? Do you want them to join? Do you want them to join a group program? What is the next logical step that you want the reader to take when they get to the end of the book? That is the first thing that you need to be clear on. Because your book, the chapters of your book are going to be the steps in the journey that gets the reader to that logical next step. Make sense? So first you got to be clear about where are you taking them, or what message do you want them to have at the end of the book. When you have that clarity, that's going to be your last page of the book. That's going to be your a note from me to you, or let's continue the conversation. Then you could say, okay, if I want them to sign up for my online program, what information do I need to give them along the way? What stories convey that information? Your personal stories are the examples that you use to convey the information. They're not the content itself. That's a really, really important distinction. Again, your book is not just you vomiting your life story. No offense, but nobody wants to read that. As fascinating as my life story is, no one's going to sit down that doesn't know me and say, oh, let me buy this book about the life story of Ellie. Nobody cares. It's not going to happen. But people buy my books because my books have a point to them. They're relatable. They are teaching actionable things. They are relaying actionable lessons. They are teaching you how to build a business if it's unlocking your superpower. They're teaching you how to navigate trauma if it's you are not your scars. There are actionable steps in each chapter that lead to where the next step I want you to take. So when you're clear on the next step, then I want you to ask yourself, what steps does the reader need to take for that outcome to be a logical next step? Now, super important. Books need 120 pages to have a spine, and that's going to be a super puny book. So you really want to be in the 180 to 250 page range, and you really want 9 to 12 chapters. Then you're going to pad the book a little bit by having an introduction, by having a foreword, by having a note from me to you, the next steps at the end, by having acknowledgements and dedications. So there's a lot of room to pad the book, but the meat of your book should be 9 to 12 chapters. So when you know where you want to take the reader, all you need is 9 to 12 steps to get there. So let's put this in a concrete example. My first book that I wrote during the pandemic came out in August of 2020. I started it in April of 2020. Do the math. Yes, the book from concept into the world as a bestseller was 4 months. So it does not take a lot of time once you have the framework down and the clarity. So unlocking your superpower is how to turn your existing knowledge into income. It is a step-by-step playbook on how to launch, pivot, diversify, or scale a knowledge and service-based business. So if I know that at the end of the book, I want you to have a functional business, then what are the steps to doing that? Number one, you got to figure out what it is, what's your superpower? What's your business going to be about, right? What do you know? What are your skills? What can you do? What do you love? Where's the intersection of that? Great. Once you know, that's chapter 1. Once you know what it is that you can do, what do you think step 2 would be? Who needs it? Who needs the thing that you want to do? So then we talk about how to identify your ideal client. Great. What's the next step? Step 2 is what problem do you solve? The monetizable need in the market. Step 3 is who needs that? That's your client. Step 4, great. Now you got to build a brand. How do you do that? That's chapter 4. Step 5, how do you find and connect with your audience? See, it's a logical progression for how to build your business. So at the end of the book, you continue on with me as a business coach. It's a logical progression. So you're going to do the same thing. So to outline your book, you're starting with your end goal in mind. Make little columns of 9 to 12 columns. Those are going to be your chapters. Those are the logical steps that your reader needs to take in the journey to get to the outcome you want them to have. Now, within each chapter, the content of your chapter, you will have 4 to 6 subpoints. what are you going to fill your chapter with? You fill your chapter with the most common questions the audience is going to have about that particular step in the journey, the biggest objections that the reader would have to that step in the journey. You want to have that covered in the content in your book because you're objection busting along the way, building that connection and that credibility because the reader feels seen and understood, and they're like, oh my God, this person totally gets, they're entering the conversation in my mind, they totally get me. So the content in those 4 to 6 subpoints, the most important information that the reader needs to accomplish that step, the biggest questions they're going to have about that step, and the objections they're going to have to that step. Clear? You now have the framework for your book. It really is that easy. Where do you want the reader to be? What are the 9 to 12 steps in the journey for them to get to that destination? Then within each step, what's the must-know information? What are the biggest questions they're going to have about it? What are the biggest objections they're going to have about it? Done. There's your book. And when you build your book like that, using your personal stories as examples, so when you give a step, when they get to the end of the book, it's a natural progression when you invite them to book a call, when you invite them to purchase your online course, when you invite them to work with you one-on-one. You've already established your credibility and authority. They've already connected with you. They've already built that know, like, and trust factor because you've proven it chapter by chapter by chapter. And in each chapter, you've given them the information they need to know. You've answered the questions that they've got in their head. You've busted the objections that they've got in their head. You've shared your personal stories so they feel like they know you, they're connecting with you, and you've got that credibility. So it's a heck yes when they get to the end of the book and they take that next step. It makes a nice natural progression and a very easy conversion. So you can see, even with all the extra things we talked about, you can see you have the framework for outlining your book. It is not hard once you have that end goal in mind. You've got to start with the end in mind, and then very logically, what are the steps along the journey? What you have your 9 to 12 steps. What are the 4 to 6 most common questions, the things they need to know, the objections they have? Weave in your personal story to each of the sections. Done. Easy conversion. Now, if you're like, okay, my mind is totally blown and I really want to do that, but that feels overwhelming, then as I mentioned, there's always a way to do one chapter in a book compilation. Now, if you're going to do a book compilation, you really want to do a book compilation with an industry giant. Okay, that's going to give you the added boost of credibility that is far more. And I've done them both ways. Okay, I've done Women Who Shine, which is a book compilation with 30 #1 international best-selling female authors, a few of whom are famous, but none of whom would be household names yet. I've done When Love Speaks, which is a book compilation with 44 incredible souls sharing stories of when love spoke to and through them, shining light into the world. And I've done book compilations with Jack Canfield. I've done book compilations with Les Brown. I've done book compilations with Bob Proctor, who you probably know recently passed. I've done book compilations with Marcy Shimoff. So I've done it both ways. And if you're doing it to establish your credibility and authority, if you're doing it to jump to the front of the line and be like, hey, I'm legit. Hey, I'm an expert. Hey, I'm the coach that you need, or I'm the entrepreneur that you need, or I'm the speaker that you need, or, you know, whatever your business is about, then you really, really want to get in where you are doing a book compilation with an expert. There's no substitution for being able to say you're a #1 international best-selling author with Les Brown. You're a #1 international best-selling author with Jack Canfield. You're a #1 international best-selling author with Marcy Shimoff. You know, there's just no substitution for that. Once you've got that #1 international best-selling author accolade, you always have it. I am forever a member, an inducted member into the National Academy of Best-Selling Authors. I am forever a Quilly Award recipient. I am forever a multiple #1 international best-selling author. Forever. Once you get that accolade, it can never be taken from you. And that's something that is priceless, because when you are at the top of the pack, you get to stay there. And it doesn't matter how crowded the marketplace gets, you always get to lead with that accolade of being a #1 international best-selling author. It gets you booked on more stages. It gets you booked on more podcasts. It gets you the ability to be interviewed on NBC or ABC or CBS or Fox. They love talking to best-selling authors about what's your book about, what story are you sharing, why are you sharing it, who do you help? That gets you that credibility and the authority and the visibility that you need to make the income and the impact that you want in your business. Any questions? I know I tend to speak fast and drop lots of golden nuggets, but any questions on anything I've shared? Raul, anything you want to add to?
Yeah, I love what you're teaching. I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying. I wanted to iterate too that you're talking about how the importance and how we can grow businesses and coaching, and I mean any industry, real estate, mortgage, wherever you're at, it makes you an expert, right? You become the expert. There are a lot of people that at some point just say, I just want to share my story. And that's okay. I mean, that's the way that I started. And then it turns into something else. So if you don't have a business right now, or you're not even thinking about coaching or training and doing these things or speaking from stages, it all comes together. And that's how it could start for you. Getting into a book, and somebody's going to go, I read your book, I read your chapter. Could you come and share your message with my crew? Right. And at some point you start to build, and it can create a business for you if you don't already have one. So those who have businesses and aren't in a book or aren't speaking on stages, you need to. Those who want to grow a business but really have no idea how, a book is a great way to get started. So I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I love, do I have an ebook on how to write a book? No, I have programs and courses though. You can definitely work with me on how to write a book. I teach it and I love it so much because everyone, you need to tell your story. Someone in the world is waiting for the message that only you can share. I cannot stress that enough. You need to tell your story. You need to get your message out into the world. And to Raul's point about the book can become your business, one of the things that I'm super passionate about teaching is, here's the thing, your book, newsflash, write this down on your paper, your book can become the exact framework for your e-course. It can become the exact framework for your workshops that you conduct. It's also your blog content, your social media content. When you, yes, Jerry, for sure. When you have your book, you have your business. It's all done. It's all done for you. It's just going deeper. So putting in, like, that's why I have you start with, what is that logical next step? Where do you want to take them? And what are the steps they need to get there? When you have your book done, then each of those chapters is now a module on your e-course. Each of those 4 to 6 subpoints is now a lesson in the module of your e-course. If you are then going to do workshops, guess what? The chapters in your book those are the sections of your workshop. Those are the sections of your training. If you're then going to continue taking the reader through the funnel, either on your existing business or the business that you're going to create from your book, then if you're doing an accelerator, and say it's a 12-week accelerator, each week is a chapter from your book. You already have the content done. It's so easy to then create a workbook from your book.
Mhm.
In fact, y'all can go to booksbyellie.com and download the workbook that goes with Unlocking Your Superpower. It's free. It's there. You don't need to buy the book to get the workbook. So it's there. It walks you step by step through building your business. Knock yourself out. So it's very easy to create the corresponding workbook that goes to your book. Well, guess what? Now your workbook, you can take excerpts of that and make a lead magnet, a downloadable freebie for people. Guess what? Now you can do short social media videos that correspond to a paragraph in your book. You have blog content. Take one of those questions. Remember, the 4 to 6 subpoints in your book are the things they need to know, the most common questions, the biggest objections, right? You take one of those, now you have a blog. You can lather, rinse, repeat, reuse the content from your book in all aspects of your business. So once you have your book, your business is much easier.
Mhm. Yes.
And again, if you're like, well, this is awesome, but this is a little much, then start with a chapter in a book compilation.
Yes.
You can take that same framework for your book and condense it down, make it shorter, easier, more bullet points, make a list, whatever, and condense it down to a chapter. That is an amazing starting point. And then over time, you can expand it into a full book and then expand it from there. But when you look at your book as the vehicle for your business, either your existing business or the business that you're going to start, then the investment of the financial investment, the investment of time, the investment of energy is so worth it, because you're taking care of everything with your book.
Mhm.
There is no easier way to build your business than by getting clear on that framework with your book.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I'll tell you, the book and the stages, they're a great combination.
Absolutely.
That's why I've partnered with Ellie in a few things. She's amazing, and her strength is helping you get your book, get out of you into a chapter or into a book. And then we take that and we put you on one of my stages. So if you're interested in speaking on stages, if you're interested in getting in books, they go together. If you're doing one, you should be doing the other.
Absolutely.
And automatically, like we've kind of talked about, it will lead into a program that people will want more from you. They're going to read your story. They're going to see you from stage, and they're going to go, how can I work with you? How can I talk to you? And it's going to turn into a business for you. And here's the super cool thing that I love, my passion, Ellie is too, about sharing your story and helping people change their lives, is that when it's your story that you're sharing in books and on stages, and then you have a program around the wisdom that you've gained. I tell people this all the time. Your wisdom is not common knowledge. Only you have experienced your life, right? You learned and have grown and gained wisdom from your experiences. You've survived everything you've gone through. You're here right now. You've survived every hard time, right? You can help people get through those hard times. So when people come to you and say, I want to work with you, you're giving them what I say is your God-given talent and wisdom to share with them. So writing your story, getting on stages, automatically makes you and helps you grow with other people, help other people grow. So I get excited about it too, Ellie. I really do.
Yeah. I totally geek out on this stuff. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. And it's critical. And to Raul's point, they need to go together.
Yeah.
Once you share your story, you want your signature talk, you want to get on stages, they feed off each other, and both of those together, then you add in your media component and you are unstoppable. I booked over 100 media appearances in less than a year because I had 6 #1 best-selling books. And because I share my story, I will talk to any audience that wants me to speak to them, whether it's women, whether it's authors, whether it's speakers, whether it's coaches, whether it's a corporation, that doesn't matter. I know that my story, to your point, Raul, you survived whatever it is that you have navigated in your life so that you can share that message. 100%. So that you can touch someone else going through something similar, so that you can be a beacon of hope, you can be a beacon of light, you can be an inspiration, you can give someone actionable tools and strategies to navigate whatever it is that they're navigating, whether that's building a business, whether that's overcoming trauma, whether that's going from bankruptcy to 7 figures, whatever. It doesn't matter what the thing is. You can help somebody navigate it. And it once you go down that road of helping people to navigate, helping people grow their business, helping people become successful, helping people feel seen, helping people feel heard, helping people navigate trauma, whatever the case may be, it feeds your soul on a level that is indescribable. And once you start serving at that level, the books continue to flow, the speeches continue to flow, the appearances continue to happen, because it just becomes a part of you. And you understand the value of sharing your story with the world.
It's a great starting discussion piece too, because I know a lot of people have a very hard time. They say that speaking from stage is one of the scariest things, right? You hear that all the time. And it is nerve-wracking, but I'll tell you what, getting yourself in a chapter or getting yourself in a book, it's a good intro to that, because you'll be able to talk to people about your book. Here's something to talk about. Hey, did you know I wrote a book? I'd love for you to read it or support me. And then when you start getting that invitation to speak, you're just talking about what's in your book, what is your story. And a lot of the coaching that I do to help people get on stage is I help them to understand you're not getting on stage making something up where you have to try and remember. You're just sharing your story, right? You probably share your story all the time with people one-on-one or a small group at a church, whatever it is, you probably share it all the time. So the difference between doing that and getting on a stage and doing it is just that all of a sudden you're an authority. All of a sudden you're on stage and you're the credibility, and people are going to want to work with you. So the stuff we're talking about, we're experts at it, and we know how easy it is. I also know that it was hard to get started mentally for me, internally, right? Like, oh, I'm scared, I'm nervous, and all these type of things. I remember sitting in front of a camera, even on a Zoom, and either talking a million miles an hour or just staring at it like this because I didn't know what to say and I was worried about it. But you got to get started, right? I'll give you a Les Brown quote. You don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great, right? So it's just a matter of saying, hey, I need some help. How do I do this? And you've got 2 people here that are willing to help you all the way through.
Yeah, just take that first step.
Yeah.
I mean, even before this call today, how many of you were overwhelmed at the thought of writing a book? And again, you were like, yeah, exactly. I don't know what to say. I don't know where to start. Oh my God, I don't have time to do it. Oh, I'm not a good writer, all the things. Larry, is it as scary? Melanie, is it as scary now that you've got a framework for it? No, absolutely not. You're like, yeah, I got this. I see you sitting back there like, I got this. Yeah.
I've actually sit here and wrote out 9, 12, 15 different logical steps for the end result. So that's one thing I was working on. But
all right. Yeah. Excellent. Congratulations. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Amazing. And now you know what to fill. So you can have more than 9 to 12 chapters, right? If you have 15 steps, have 15 chapters. That you can go longer. You just like I said, you need a minimum in the publishing space, you need a minimum of 120 pages for a spine, and that's really puny. So really you want the 180. Now, here's the other point. Let's do some math real quick. So if you want a book that's 180 pages and you're gonna have 9 chapters, how many pages is that per chapter? 20, right? Well, if each chapter has 4 to 6 subpoints, I don't like math, so let's go with easy math. If a chapter is 20 pages and you have 4 subpoints, how many pages do you need per subpoint? 5. Is that overwhelming? You can write 3 to 5 pages on anything, especially when you have that framework of what's the question they have or the thing they need to know or the objection they have. Address that. Well, shoot, that's a couple of paragraphs. Weave in your personal stories or personal experiences as the example and the support for that. Transition to the next thing. Done. Is really not that hard when you have the framework and when you understand that you don't have to write a treatise on each thing. You're talking a couple of pages per subpoint and you have a book. It's that easy. So Larry, you've got 15 steps. Great. You have 15 chapters. So now you're going to start to list out those 4 to 6. What are the absolute things they need to know? What are the most common questions they're going to have about that step? What are the most common objections they're going to have? Personally, I like to write them in that order because for me, it makes a nice logical flow. I'm going to start each subpoint with, here are the things they really need to know. Like it would be impossible for them to accomplish step 1 without knowing these things. And then I'm going to transition in the next section of that section and say, okay, so now that I've given them the must know information, what are the biggest questions that are going to come up for them about that information? And then I'm going to address that. And then the final section within that subpoint is going to be, okay, so now they know the things they need to know. Now I've addressed the biggest questions that would come up for them. What are the objections that are going to come up for them to that point? And then I'm going to address that. For me, that's a nice logical flow. It's a nice logical framework that I can repeat through each section. And it doesn't come across as formulaic because each section is going to have different things they need to know, different questions they're going to have, and different objections that you're going to need to bust. So Larry, you're a perfect example of, you can go from completely lost and overwhelmed, and literally within 10 minutes, you can have the entire framework of your book laid out.
Yeah. I love the action takers. You know,
I'm an action taker,
yeah,
and I work with action takers.
That's why we love
So I
them.
love it.
We are them. I mean, that's how we move forward. I was listening to some training that Ed Milet was doing. I think he was just yesterday. A buddy of mine was there and he was showing me on a live video. And here's something interesting, I think, Larry, that you'll start to notice. Everybody that's watching here will start to notice, is because you're even here watching this how to write a book, you're going to start finding yourself recognizing more how to write a book and tips and tools around you, because you're kind of in this frequency. You've taken action to jump in here and get on this call. So you're going to start to see and learn more. So, you know, action equals attraction, right? You're doing things and things will start to come to you. So congratulations, even just for being here and especially taking those notes. That's great for all of you guys. I see Anita's over there taking notes too. So good stuff.
Yeah, and so is Jerry. So Jerry, to answer your question, where do you weave in your personal experiences? I weave in my personal experiences when I'm answering the questions in their mind and when I'm overcoming their objections. That's how I'm going to answer it. So I'm going to have, say, an introductory statement where I say, now in work, see, and this is how you start to weave in your business. Right? I might say, when I'm working with clients, the most common question that I get at this stage in their journey is, well, how do you overcome objections? And when I'm working with them, I love to share this time when I did blah, 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 blah. That's just, making up an example off the top of my head, but it's weaving in subtly those little nuggets where you're planting the seeds of buying your product. You're planting the seeds of speaking. You're planting the seeds of delivering your online courses. You're planting the seeds of one-on-one coaching. You're planting the seeds of whatever it is that you want them to, whatever action you want them to take at the end. You're knowing that as your starting point, you're able to weave that in very subtly throughout your book so that the seeds already been planted and it's like a no-brainer when they get to the end of the book. So you weave in with those subtle phrases and you use your stories to demonstrate the answers to the questions or to bust the objections.
Is the title of the book similar to the end goal of the book?
Yes, and not so much, well, here's the thing about titles and subtitles. Your title can be clever or catchy, but it should definitely be tied into the topic of the book and tied into the outcome. Your subtitle is X number of steps or how to, or your subtitle is not cute. It is not clever. It is a very, very straightforward. It's what is the book about? So many people want to get all cute. You can get cute with the title. Do not get cute with the subtitle. The subtitle has to be that beacon that tells the reader, yes, this book is for me. So for example, and I want to make sure that we're honoring your time. So I'm going to wrap up here. But for example, Unlocking Your Superpower. That's the title of the first book. Does that actually tell you what the book's about? You could go a lot of different ways with Unlocking Your Superpower, right? Could be about purpose, it could be a lot of things. Subtitle, 8 steps to turn your existing knowledge into income. Do you now know what the book is about?
Right.
Is there any ambiguity? And guess what? The book is 8 steps to turn your existing knowledge into income. When you read the book, that's what you get. Next, when I did The Authorities, that's powerful wisdom from leaders in the field. The Authorities, does it actually tell you what the book's about? Mm-mm. It's catchy, but it doesn't tell you. Powerful wisdom from leaders in the field tells you what you're going to get. That's the book I co-wrote with Les Brown and Bob Proctor and Marcy Shimoff and Raymond Aaron and some others. So you had 4 New York Times #1 best-selling authors, 4 industry giants plus myself. So powerful wisdom from leaders in the field. Women Who Shine. 30 inspiring stories of women shining their light into the world. The subtitle needs to tell you exactly what it is. Sisters Rising, stories of remarkable women living extraordinary lives. So your title can be cute or clever, but the subtitle needs to be very clear and tell the reader what it is that they're getting. Mm-hmm. That's one way that you're a beacon, that you're magnetizing your ideal client. Who do you want to attract? Be very clear in your subtitle.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Somebody has to have a question. It's good stuff, though. You're very clear, Ellie. You're doing great. So maybe that's why there may not be. There was a few in here. I think we already answered them.
Yeah, I answered all the questions in the chat.
Yeah, you have a question, Anita? You can just unmute yourself, or if you have something, go ahead.
Okay, so I have lots of questions, but I'm gonna just one question because I don't know if the other questions are. I don't know. So
go ahead. Let's go ahead.
So basically, when you have, say you have multiple areas that you want to speak on, how do you choose the one that's like, how do you know the difference between the one you should be writing about and the one that's like, okay, that's nice, but like, this is your sweet spot. This is what you need to be zoning in on.
Your biggest passion, you start there.
100.
So I have 6 different verticals actually in my business. I work with 6 very distinct categories of clients in 6 totally different areas. I started with the one I was called to. COVID hit. My friends started losing their jobs and their businesses. I've got 30 years in entrepreneurship, and I was like, not on my watch. I'm going to help you. And on April 5th, I got on a Zoom call with my friends whose businesses were being shut down by COVID. And at the end of 3 hours, each of them had pivot plans, diversification plans. They're all still in business today. On that April 5th call, they were like, oh my God, if you could do this in 3 hours with us, you need to write a book. 4 months later, Unlocking Your Superpower was out. So it was just something that it was very clear and easy to me. It was something I felt called I needed to do right then. After that, 3 months later, in November, came Sisters Rising. Sisters Rising, I felt called to write. That features 9 of my female entrepreneur friends. It's a book compilation. I wanted to get eyeballs on my female entrepreneur friends' businesses. Again, COVID had recently hit, and I needed to help them. I felt called to showcase them. Sisters Rising was launched. A month and a half later came the authorities. Again, why? Because the world had shifted. I felt called to gather with these industry leaders and what can we share to help people? Then I took a little bit of a break because doing 3 books in 6 months was a lot. And then I continued with Women Who Shine. Why? Because at that point, pandemic fatigue was setting in. We were losing hope. And so, I wanted to then share the inspiring stories. So I did pretty quickly back-to-back Women Who Shine and When Love Speaks. So you're gonna feel whichever one your instinct is like, this is my starting point, you do that first. And then when that one's out, you can move on to the next one. So it's not a one and done. I mean, like I said, I've done 6 during COVID. And it's something that I'll continue to do. So whichever one you're just feeling that pull to do, that's where you start. There isn't any such thing as like the book or the one. It's what do you want to do right now?
Yeah.
And you'll do that, and then you'll move on to the next one.
That's been my issue. That's been my issue is I've done everybody else has written about this or that. I mean, I don't know if there's so much new under the sun at all, but so that's been my hesitancy. And the other one is, they don't want to hear what I've got to say. It's already out there. Somebody has already written that. But so that's been I know that's been my pause.
Yeah.
And then, so that's been a struggle of mine. I'm going, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and I'm living proof of it. You're right that there isn't anything new, right? We're not going to say something earth-shattering that no one has ever said before. If you are the inventor of something, there's an exception. But by and large, it's all been said before. Here's the difference. You have an experience that is unique to you. And when you're weaving in your story, you're going to magnetize to your ideal client. I am not everyone's cup of tea. I'm fire hose. I'm very direct to the point. I'm a no nonsense. I'm an action taker. I'm an implementation strategist. I do not work with people who just want to get shelf help. If you just want to gather the information and put it on the shelf and not actually do anything, you're not my person. I work with people who are like, help me do this thing. I want to do this thing. I'm actually going to take the action and do what they need to do. So I'm not everyone's cup of tea. So when I say something, if you're not my person, if you like a much more gentle, fluffy approach, you're not going to hear what I'm saying. We're going to be ships in the night, right? But if you're an action taker who's like, I have been looking for someone to actually tell me what to do, then when you hear me speak, you're like, ding, 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 that's my person, I have to work with you. It's going to be the exact same when you're sharing your book. Is it going to be on something new and novel that no one's ever said before? Nope. Yeah. Does it matter? Nope. Because the stories that you're going to share about your experience, about your life, that's unique to you.
Yeah.
And it's going to resonate with the people that it needs to resonate with. And those are going to be the people that want to continue to work with you or buy your product or have you speak on their stage or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about, let's take the movie The Secret, for example. I don't know how many of you have seen it. They all essentially said the same thing. And the law of attraction is not new. But we're drawn to different people on there. I am going, and now they're dear friends of mine. But when I saw Jack Canfield, I was drawn to Jack. When I saw Lisa Nichols speak, I was drawn to her. Jack and Lisa are now very dear friends of mine. I wasn't as drawn to some of the others when they spoke, because they're just different styles. So you have something that is uniquely yours. And when you share your knowledge, when you share your framework, the steps in your journey, the steps in the process, in your process, and you're weaving in your examples, you're weaving in the things that you did, your life experience, then that is something that is uniquely yours. Mm-hmm. And how many times have you heard the same thing a million different times? Your mom told you something, your aunt told you something, your grandma told you something, your teacher told you something, your best friend told you something. You heard it, you went, yeah, heard that. Then one day, someone else says it and it lands. That's what your book is. That's what your business is. That's what your story on a stage is. Yep. It may not be something new and like earth-shattering, but it's yours, and it's going to resonate and connect and land and help someone that needs it. Mm-hmm. So does that make sense, Larry?
Yeah. I want to ask you one more thing. I just want to clarify a thing. The 9 to 12 logical steps, are those chapter headings? And then underneath the chapter headings are 20 pages essentially of 4 to 6 subpoints.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So,
and when you said, to be clear, the subpoints is the one you say, that's what you got to be super, super clear on, the subtitles.
No, that's the actual title and subtitle of your book.
Okay. So you got the title, and then underneath that is the subtitle. That's what the 8 whatever's that.
Yep. And that's on the cover of your book. That is your actual title. So then your chapter titles might be connecting. I think chapter 3 was connecting with your clients or something like that. That's the title of chapter 3. Like, it tells you what chapter 3 is about. And then the subtitle might, the subpoints, I had a little heading that said identifying your ideal client, and then talked about that. And then then I think the next one was finding your ideal client. And then the next one was connecting with your ideal client. And then the next one was like building a relationship. No, I think the next one was converting your ideal client into a raving fan. Mm-hmm. So see how like those are 4 logical steps to connecting with your client. You got to know who they are. You got to find them. You got to connect with them, build a relationship with them, and then you want to convert them from client to raving fan.
Okay.
Jerry had a question on how to publish. Jerry, that is a really long answer that we don't have time to get into now, but there are 5 paths to publication. You have traditional, hybrid, independent, self, and vanity. Those are your 5. And I would say, don't worry about your path to publication until you get your book done. Because again, you're going to ultimately, in a nutshell, you're going to pick the path to publication that best supports your business objectives. First, you need to know what they are. Then you write the book. If you are going to go, the only exception to that is if you're really set on going the traditional publishing house route. Good luck. Blessings to you. For that, you need to get a literary agent before you do anything. The literary agent helps you write a formal book proposal. The literary agent will then shop that book proposal around to the big traditional publishing houses, Penguin, Simon & Schuster, Macmillan, Hay House, those kind of things. If you are lucky enough to get chosen, which is less than 1%, then they build out your book and all the things. That is a very long, arduous process. It is an expensive process, and that you're looking at a good 3 to 5 years if you are lucky enough to get a book deal.
Wow.
So that, that's the top of the food chain. How do you get it proofed and corrected? Because that's part of the publishing process, Jerry. So you don't worry about that. Your publisher will have editors, formatters, cover designers. That's their job. If you are trying to go for credibility and authority, which is what you should be doing, do not self-publish. There is absolutely no enhancement to your credibility and authority if you self-publish. What that says is, gee, no one else would publish my book, so I had to do it myself. Like, that does not help you. And that's why there's 5 paths to publication. So you have lots of options. People think, oh, it's traditional or self, or I'm screwed, and it's not. So do not go self-publishing. You personally are not an editor. You're not a formatter. You're not a cover designer. For the love of all that is holy, do not go onto Fiverr or Upwork and think that you're going to pay $300 and have your book edited or formatted for $300. It's not going to happen. That's going to be a train wreck. Do not self-publish if your goal is to position yourself as an expert in your field, as credible authority. If your book is becoming the foundation for your business or support your business, do not self-publish.
So in other words, you want us to self-publish.
Only if you want to torpedo your credibility.
So go back then, if you don't self-publish, then because
independent or hybrid are going to be your best options.
Okay.
I just for clarity, Ellie, I believe what she means by self-publish is just edit and do everything yourself, like the entire process yourself.
No, I mean, no.
Not
I
just
mean
that?
self-publish. So if you are doing, you're like, oh, well, I don't have a publisher, so I'm just going to do it myself and upload it to Amazon. That's self-publishing. No. Do not do that if credibility and authority is what you are going for. It says who the publisher is on the Amazon page. It says who the publisher is on the legal page of your book. It says who the publisher is on the back cover of your book. It is everywhere that you are self-publishing. And for anyone who's credible in the space, we look at that and go, couldn't get your book published, eh? Like it's no. And it's not that different. It actually ends up, if you do it right, self-publishing ends up becoming more expensive than if you were to have invested in an independent or hybrid publishing house. Why? Because you're gonna think that you can pay $300 for an editor or a formatter. They're gonna do a really bad job. You're gonna spend hours and hours and hours trying to find someone that's credible. Then you're gonna flush your money down the toilet, get a bad product back. And if you have a sense of quality control over your brand, you're gonna say, I'm not publishing that, that's a mess. And then you're gonna have to pay again and again and again. It makes it a very long, very expensive process that you would not have if you actually went with an independent or hybrid publishing house that had a team of experts already in place. Yes, there's a financial investment in that, but it's ultimately going to be less than if you were going to do it yourself. And you know that you are with a trusted group of vetted professionals, that this is all they do for a living, that you're going to be able to look at their past work or look at other clients that they've had. You're going to be able to vet them and ensure that they've got the quality and attention to detail to make a world-class book. Again, if your book is the foundation of your business, do not chance on it.
Yep.
It's going to follow you around. You can't undo it. Like, it's there, it's out there in the world. A bad book will torpedo your credibility. So you absolutely want to work with someone. And when you're at the point, you want to work with an author's coach, you want to make sure that you've got clarity. I just gave you the framework, so you're very clear now on how to structure your book and what the contents of your book should be. But then you want to either get into a book compilation series that is professionally done, a world-class brand, or you want to work, if you're doing a full book, with an independent or hybrid publishing house that has a stable of professionals that can get your book out into the world in a way that reflects the quality of your brand. How do you want to be known? Do you want to be known for attention to detail? Do you want to be known as a world-class brand? Do you want to have your book reflective of the quality that you want to be known for in the marketplace?
Yes. So there's a couple of questions out there. Did you see about the publishing?
Yes, and so I've been answering Jerry's questions on publishing, on getting it proofed and corrected. What avenue do you use? I have two independent publishing houses of my own, and even then, like, I don't publish my books are not published through my publishing house. Why? Because that would essentially be self-publishing, right? If I own the publishing houses and I'm doing my own books through that, that's kind of self-publishing. That doesn't help me. So for my books are all done by other publishing houses. I pay other publishing houses to release the books that I'm writing. And then I have independent publishing houses that publish other people's books.
Melanie, do you have your hand up there? Go ahead and jump in for the question.
Yeah, I do. So the question I have is a couple of, well, actually, it was probably about 10 years ago, maybe now, maybe not quite that many. But I did actually self-publish a book. And it, of course, never went anywhere. It was just kind of more of I just want to even prove that I can do it. So now what I'm wondering is I have all these copies of it and I've been debating like just using them as like giveaways. Would you suggest that I don't do that because it's self-published, or?
I think it depends on your industry and it depends on the quality of your finished product. Because you don't want to give away something that is subpar. So I would say, if you want to mail me a copy, I'm happy to look at it, or send me a PDF, I'm happy to look at it for you. But I would make sure that, especially since it was 10 years ago, that it's still relevant, that it is reflective of the brand that you want to build at this stage in your journey. And oh no, there you are, Melanie.
I'm still here. I just put my hand down.
Yeah, if it is of the quality that you still want your business to have today, then it's potentially not harmful to give it away. I would venture to guess that you have probably evolved over the last 10 years. I would venture to guess that the world has shifted over the last 10 years and that you might want to update the book. And if that's the case, if you update the book and makes enough chapters, enough changes, maybe you add a chapter, you tweak some things, you up-level it, then you can re-release it as a 2022 volume, and you can do that through a publishing house quickly and easily. And that kind of, it updates it, it solves the problem of self-publishing. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can do it. There's a lot of intricacies, and I know we need to wrap up, so this is a conversation for another time. But there are a lot of intricacies that when you self-publish, you also typically don't realize. If you are self-publishing and you get the ISBN number from Amazon, that book is permanently tied to Amazon. There's a reason why Amazon gives you the ISBN number for free. ISBN numbers are actually not free. When you work with a publishing house, the publishing house should be getting your ISBN numbers from Bawker, which is through the federal government. It's $125 per ISBN. These are the kinds of things these are the traps that when you self-publish, you run right into. Copywriting. You absolutely need to copyright your book before it hits. You do not copyright your book after. You copyright it before. It's $65. You go to copyright.gov, you actually file the finished manuscript, you upload it to the United States government. They will send you a certificate of copyright. There are these kinds of things that don't happen traditionally when you self-publish. And they are absolutely critical. There's all kinds of stuff with backend, with royalties, with expanded distribution, with this kind of stuff that you need to work when the time comes with a publishing house. You're not at that stage yet.
Yeah.
That is a bridge that you cross when your manuscript is entering completion. You're welcome, Jerry.
Hey, so just I want to throw this in there. Melanie is going to be at our training this weekend, so you guys will meet because Melanie,
Amazing.
Ellie's going to be there, and she's going to teach some more of this in depth. So bring your book, and she can take a look at it.
Absolutely, yeah, bring it. I'm happy to look at it. So let's talk a little bit as we wind down, Raul, about this weekend.
Okay, yeah, this weekend we're doing a 3-day training that has to do with authors speaking and coaching. It's an intensive. The people who are coming, a lot of them are our clients, and they have this big package of speaking on stages and putting together packages to sell themselves. A lot of the stuff that we said that becoming an author can lead you into are already doing that, and we've been working with that on them. So they're coming as the 3-day is like an extra bonus in intensive training. And we're offering a couple of days of that training for people to come out because Ellie's going to be doing specifically book training on one of the days. So you're invited to come to that training if you guys would like to come. I know some of you are not in California, but you're welcome to fly out if you'd like. It's short notice. But we'll be in Newport Beach this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want details on that, you can email me or leave a message here. In fact, let me put my email in the chat, and you can just say, hey, I'm interested in more information on that training, live in-person training. And you can come and hang out with us. What you'll be able to learn is going to be really great, almost as a bonus for anybody who just joins us this weekend, is the people who we've been working with. We're going to continue to go through their content and make them and help them be ready so that when they leave this event, they are up and running. They have packages to sell. They have opportunities to be in these books. They're guaranteed stage time, some of them already. So there's a whole lot that we're going to be working with them on. So as kind of a bystander adding in, you can watch and see all the work that we've done with them, and you can take notes and you can go off and do it also, or you can come and work with us the same way.
Yeah, amazing. So if you're local or want to come out to California this weekend, it would be amazing to see you. So any other questions before we wrap up on getting your book done or participating?
Hey Matt, how you doing? We're just wrapping up, buddy. You jumped right at the end. But I recorded this, so I can send it to you and we can chat after if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to get a book written for sure. I got a lot of ideas.
Okay, cool.
So
Amazing.
I apologize. It's crazy. It's crazy for me in the morning times, and I've
no worries.
Okay.
So how are you? My Matthew.
Nice to meet you, Matthew. Welcome. Raul will send you the replay. We covered exactly your book framework. Yep. We banged that out. Larry is already written his chapter. He's got his framework just while we've been on this call. So we have covered a lot. Yes, Raul can get the replays to you guys. Connect with us. I'm sure Raul can send you more information on upcoming things because we would love to help you get your book written, to get you in a book compilation, to get you on stage, to get your message out into the world, to get your business done, either to grow your existing business or to launch a business from your book and from stage.
That'd be awesome. It's all about, I was telling Raul, it's all about making an impact in the community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Matthew is another one of our clients. He's going to be there this weekend also.
Oh, so I'll see you this weekend.
Yeah, so you'll meet Ellie. She's one of our trainers there. I did, for everybody else, I put my email address in the chat there. So if you are interested in the copy of this email, of this video, I'll get it out to you guys this afternoon. Just email me and say, hey, Raul, I was there. Thank you. Please send me the email and I'll send it to you. The other thing that I'll be able to send you, if you guys aren't able to come this weekend, is Ellie is going to do is it a 4-hour? How long is your boot camp?
The boot camp is from 9 to 5 Pacific.
9 to 5 p.m. So she's going to do a full day training, and I can send you the link to that as soon as we're preparing that link now. And if you'd like to sign up for that because you can't come this weekend, then you can sign up for her full day of training, and you're going to love it. If you like this hour and a half we've been chatting now, imagine her actually teaching you and walking you through getting your book done. So there's a couple of things that we can do for you guys.
I don't
It's
see
gonna be
your
fun.
I don't see your email.
My email is,
I see
I
yours,
just
but
put
I
it
don't
in
see
the
his.
chat.
Oh,
It's
mine
Ellie.
is, I'll type it in there right now real quick. Hold
Yeah.
on. That was mine.
Yeah.
Yahoo dot.
Jerry, the training is Friday, May 13th from 9 to 5 Pacific.
Yeah, the online training is, if that's the one you're asking about, the new one
Yeah.
coming. And the one online that Ellie is talking about, this weekend is in Newport Beach, California. Starts at 9:30 a.m. every morning. Again, when you email me, let me know if you're interested in that, and I can send you all the details for that too.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. I'll see you down there. I'm leaving the 28th and be down there until the 2nd of May.
Are you bringing a business partner with you, Matthew? The way you came in, you get to bring somebody with you if you want.
I am trying to bring somebody with me
All right.
on this aspect of it. Focus, like I said, focus is building the community. That's what it's all about.
All right, good. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to, you don't have to bring somebody, but you're welcome to. That's part of your package.
I really appreciate that. And then I'll see you down there and we'll get connected
Yes,
sometime. And then maybe we can do lunch with Ellie or something like that.
absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna have a full 3 days. Ellie's gonna be there all 3 days helping us working and training and stuff. And then you're a part of the VIP team, so you're gonna be on the yacht cruise with us, and we'll all be hanging out.
Awesome, man. I'm gonna be tired, man. The thing for Vegas wore me out.
I know you're traveling around. I was actually just mentioned the event you were at with Ed Milet, and I was telling everybody about how he was talking about, when you get into a certain frequency and you attract it, and you start to see it and you start to find it. And that's about taking action and then creating for yourself. They start to come to you. So guys,
Exactly.
Thanks everybody so much for being here. Again, like Ellie was saying, we want to respect your time. Our email addresses are there. Send me an email. I'll send you a copy of this video. I'll send you the details to this weekend. And then we'll also send you, as soon as we have the links to Ellie's May 13th full day training, I'll send you that too. And hopefully we can all connect and write a book either together, or we'll get you guys, help you guys get your books written and put you on stages. That's the key. It's a combination here. Get in a book, get on stage, and start your business.
Yes.
Super exciting.
Absolutely.
So anybody else have any final questions before we go?
No, I really appreciate you guys, what you guys are doing. I know it takes a lot of work to what you guys do, and keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you, man. I look forward to meeting you too. We've been chatting for a while.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have a good time. Thank you very much.
All right,
God
bye-bye.
bless.
Anybody else have questions? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you got some good information there, and I hope to be working with you guys soon. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.